Hello, this is One Cool Thing. I'm Jordan Miner for PC Mag. I'm here joined with one of our PC Mag gaming freelancers, Tony Polanco.
Hey, what's going on, Jordan? How you doing?
Tony, there's no one in the world I would trust more to talk about PlayStation with than you. So we're talking about the just wrapped up PlayStation State of Play event, which is kind of where they're at right now. Here as we're all waiting the PS5. So
Yeah, pretty
immediate
much.
takeaways.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing. I want to thank Sony for telling us right off the bat, like, don't expect anything big. No PS5 announcements. Nothing crazy like that. This is going to be PS4 and PSVR specific with occasional little PS5 things. So we already kind of lowered our expectations, and I'll get into it later. Even with that said, this was a bit of a slog, man. This was a bit of a slog. And remember, I like PlayStation. I'm like,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, we are all impartial here.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how it is. But yeah, no, they started off the show with our personal favorite, Jordan, Crash Bandicoot.
People love them some Crash Bandicoot.
Dude, I don't get it, man. Like I remember playing those back in the day and stuff when my friends had PlayStation. I was like, I don't get it. And then I played the remaster or remake, whatever. I was like,
From the makers of The Last of Us, Crash Bandicoot.
yeah, pretty much. So yeah, this one's called Crash Bandicoot 4. It's About Time. It's coming out on October 2nd, I believe, and it's a sequel to Warped, which is the last. I didn't know that the last game came out over a decade ago. I had absolutely no idea. So
Well, those
that's kind of cool.
remakes they did sold really well. And I'll give them this. I think they're very attractive. Like the visuals of them are really good. And I think this game also looks like way too good for a Crash Bandicoot game.
Yeah, it really does. Like, and it seems like if you're a fan of this franchise, you're getting a lot of really cool things. So you get you get the old classic controls plus some new stuff. There's some time mechanics going on there, which is cool. You get to play as a bunch of different characters and all that. So yeah, I like you said, the last game sold very, very well. So I'm going to assume this one's going to do pretty well too, if it kind of adheres to the spirit of the old ones.
I mean, it's all
Again,
Activision makes is
yeah,
Call of Duty and these remakes and
yeah, you're
whatever
right
Blizzard
about that.
does. So
Yeah, I mean that's something, but guys like me and you, it's not really exciting for us, but hopefully somebody will get something out of this. And then we had Hitman 3, which is okay. Apparently, it's getting a VR mode, which is kind of interesting.
yeah, VR for Hitman 3 because they kind of like when these new ones come out, they package all the old stuff in it.
Yeah,
So it sounds like a lot of Hitman 1 or maybe like all of Hitman 1 and two's content is going to be sort of packaged into this, and that's also going to be in VR, which could be like a lot of stuff potentially.
yeah, and it's crazy because like the first two Hitman games, talking about the reimagined versions that started coming out like a couple of years ago,
Mhm.
like there's already a lot of content in them already. So it's kind of
Yeah, yeah.
interesting how they're adding the VR component. I wonder how this is going to work. It's just like a stealth game in VR. So there's a lot of opportunities to really get creative, but I don't know how far they're going to take the VR. If it's just slapped on or something, or if it's actually like integrated within the gameplay. We don't really know that right now.
And that studio's been through a lot. Like they got kind of cut loose by Square and tried to like self fund and stuff. So kind of
Yeah,
they're kind of like an underdog.
yeah, I
So
remember that. Yeah, because they were under Square Enix for a while. IO Interactive, they're doing their own thing. I mean, it's
mhm.
cool. I say this. I believe I wrote this when I was talking about one of the games back at Geek.com. Shout out to
Shout out to
Geek.com.
Geek.com.
I said, like, listen, we don't have Splinter Cell anymore, right? Metal Gear, that's missing in action. If you want AAA stealth action, Hitman is the only
It's
game in
true.
town.
Yeah, that's a good
So
point.
go for it, man. That was cool. Here's one I actually was excited about. I didn't expect this. Braid is getting an anniversary edition.
I was talking about this with some of my friends. Jonathan Blow, when all he's been doing for the past decade is making his weird miss games with his piss jar, like he's eventually got to start putting out stuff and make money again.
No, you're right about that. And this looks
Yeah,
gorgeous. They made
yeah,
the
it does.
HD textures and all that. They changed the animations. They even changed like they basically said they wanted to make it more painterly, for the lack of a better term, which is like
Yeah, yeah.
pretty
It kind of
cool.
has this sort of like almost like motion like effect on it that it's hard to tell in some of the screenshots, but I think it looks kind of neat in motion.
Yeah, so that
And
was
that
cool.
game is
Yeah.
great despite how pretentious it is.
Yeah, that's right. I remember like that was one of the first quote unquote indie games I played when I
Hmm.
got a PS3. I liked it. It was fun. It was like subverting a lot of like tropes from platformers, which was actually kind of cool. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna I was about to give away the ending. I'm not gonna do that.
just watch Soldier Boy's review of it. That's all you need.
Yeah, there you go. And then they actually did show a PS5 game. It's called The Pathless, which is coming out this holiday. It's like based around archery. What'd you think of that?
You ever play that game or see this game called Abzu?
Yes,
It's from
yes.
those people, and that kind of makes
Okay.
sense to me.
Yes, I'm thinking about that now. This is just like absolute outside of the water.
Yeah, a different sort of biome. So I mean,
Yeah,
that's neat. I like their approach to archery, where it's less about aiming and more about like timing it, so it just kind of feels cool. That's a
yeah.
cool
No, I
idea.
mean, I really like that art style, and then there was a whole thing with like beasts and stuff. So I guess some epic boss battles are in store for us. Pretty cool, you know. We also had Spelunky 2. I don't know if you've played those.
People love them some Spelunky. I don't because I'm not into roguelikes, but they really like those games, and they kind of like kicked off, I think, or at least played a major role in like all these indie roguelikes that are now just huge and everywhere now.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of
I
it.
will say his book, Derek Yu wrote a book about making that game. That's a really interesting, just kind of game design book. So people should check
Yeah,
that out.
that's cool. They also had some anime type of games, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Is there, you're talking about Genshin Impact?
Yeah,
That game, and going back to Geek.com, a story that did very well on that website was talking about the controversy over that game and how much it looks like Breath of the Wild. And it was that in some
yeah.
other game that maybe is more kind of
Oh, that was the
tricky.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. All these anime games, I'm not, disparaging if you like them, whatever, but no, I can't, I don't like them,
It's funny between that and skipping ahead a little bit. They had
Yeah. Yeah.
Temtem at this thing,
That's right.
this indie Pokemon looking game. So it's like if you don't have a Nintendo system, we got you. Like
Yeah, pretty much, and yeah, Temtem because that is pretty much Pokemon,
yeah,
We also had Control DLC. Control's a very good game.
it
So,
is.
you could play that. You mentioned Temtem. We had Hood Outlaws. I don't really know what that game's about.
I'm just gonna call that game Gritty Robin Hood. That's what it looks like to me, and that's what it kind of sounds like it actually is. Like you're shooting arrows. There's a Friar Tuck looking dude. I
Yeah.
don't know. The idea of a gritty Robin Hood like
I mean,
multiplayer
that's
thing
cool.
is
Yeah,
kind of a
could be.
funny idea.
That's kind of funny. And then there was Vader Immortal, which is a Star Wars VR game. I'm like, remember we've been talking about this stuff forever, like VR.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
hey,
not
in
finished
VR you could
yet.
swing your lightsaber. I'm like, really? We're still talking about
Yeah,
this?
I know. I knew that was episodic, but I didn't know it was still going on.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just find it funny how they're still marketing that as like a selling point. Like, hey, you could play Star Wars in VR and swing your lightsaber like a
That
real Jedi.
Squadrons game, I think, is going to be in VR too. That Star Wars
Hmm.
Squadrons thing, I
Okay.
think
No,
that's
I
also
didn't
in
know that.
VR. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah, if
mean,
you like the
yeah.
swords or the spaceships, laser swords,
Yeah.
go to town.
Here's the thing about VR, PSVR. I'm surprised it sold as well as it did. 5 million, like wow. So it makes sense why Sony is still supporting it.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not trying to do all that exercising. you know. And then they pretty much finished off things with Godfall, which is another big PS5 game.
That's like one of
Coming.
the first ones they announced like a year ago, I think.
Yeah. What's your take on that, man? Because I have something to say about that. But what's your take on
I'm
Godfall?
not really into these kind of like looter shooter sort of games as a service in general. I guess I'm more into when they're like melee focused because I find that it seems kind of hypocritical, but I'm into these games when they're more mindless. So something like Destiny to me, I think the shooting is great, but I have to think about it too much for an act that is ultimately kind of like grinding and you're just doing it all the time. So if I don't have to think about it that much, that to me is a selling point. But
Yeah.
that's kind of a
Yeah,
long answer for.
yeah. No, I'm glad you mentioned Destiny because of Destiny and because of Division 2. Even though I do enjoy those games, mechanically speaking, I had to eventually stop playing both of them because the grinding got too much. So I already kind of have a visceral reaction when they're like, "Oh, it's a looter." I'm like, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah, and you can definitely only fit like so many of those games into your life. So like some of them are just don't have a chance.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, am I going to jump into this game that plays great, and then a month later, I'm going to be like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then, of course, they're going to, even though they did say no microtransactions, which is a good thing, they're going to have like add-ons and expansions and all this other stuff. So
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah. It's a live service. Nope.
yeah.
So,
That's a whole other topic right there, bro. By the way, Jordan, I always find it funny how, like, okay, you're primarily like a Nintendo guy, right? I'm
yep.
primarily a PlayStation guy, but we kind of have the same taste in games, or at least the same distaste in games. We don't like these looters, we don't like these roguelikes. It's kind of funny, But
We
yeah,
like big prestige completed first party games. I think that's something that is shared between those two platform holders.
that's exactly right. But yeah, overall, I mean, here's the thing. I kind of see, excuse me, Ghost of Tsushima as like Sony PS4's swan song, right? All
Hmm.
this other stuff that comes after it, kind of unnecessary. That's how I kind of felt about this presentation. I'm not trying to sound all negative, but it's like, did we
And you
really
would
need
hope
to
that
have
all this
this?
would at least like run on PS5 too,
Yeah, I mean,
or at
it
least
probably
some
will,
of it.
but
Yeah.
but again, we don't even know how much of an upgrade these games are going to get if you pop in your PS4 disc or whatever. Like, is it going to run good? Is it going to run better? I don't know, man. Because I'm thinking about this presentation. Like, what did we really need to see from this that you couldn't have gotten from a press release or something?
This is a good transition to where's your head at just right now on the PlayStation in general? Now that we've had this, we had their big reveal event. The holidays coming up. Yeah, where are you kind of at?
Sony is in a weird spot because this year they've been very, for the lack of a better term, spotty when it comes to their news. They
that's
barely
everyone.
I
feel like though.
Yeah, Microsoft compared to Microsoft though. Microsoft every week we're getting something about Xbox constantly, But Sony, it just seems like they're like, you know what? We know we're gonna get sales. We already have our fan base. We're just gonna trickle out information whenever we want. Like, think about it like this: Microsoft revealed an entire console, right? And what was Sony's answer? A logo. Literally a logo, that's all we got.
Oh yeah, going back months. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah. I mean, now and then we had the PS5 reveal. I'm going to compare the PS5 reveal and the Xbox reveal, right? Objectively speaking, I think the Xbox one was a better showing, right?
Really? Compared to even the first PS5 reveal, like the big one?
Yeah. Okay. And this is why, because they had and I'm just going to get this out in the open. I'm not against them, but I'm not a big fan of indie games. That's not really my thing. I like big, high production games, right? Xbox, what they did was they sprinkled those games in between the big stuff, right? Sony dedicated literally the middle of their entire conference to these. I'm just going to call them what they are: sizzle reel games. I'm like, come on, you're just wasting our time with this stuff. The first quarter of it was dope. The last quarter of it was dope. The 50% in the middle, I don't know about this. That dinosaur game, whatever, dinosaur is high, cool. Come on, you can't be launching or at least selling your brand new system with this, And then, of course, by the way, Jordan, I'm sorry, I'm just ranting right now.
No, go for it. It makes for great internet television.
Yeah. Listen, here's my thing. And again, I'm saying this as a Sony guy, right? I think there's a problem when your biggest showcase game for your next-gen system is a DLC game. I'm talking about Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yes,
right?
That is a great point. That is the thing I really think about from that showcase. And you're right. It's not even really a full game.
It's not. And then, it's just a rumor at this moment, right? But apparently they're going to bundle in the regular Spider-Man game, PS4 Spider-Man game, remastered with Miles Morales. You know what that tells me? Oh, this is how we're going to charge you $60 for this $40 game,
Or $70.
Yeah, oh, man. Yeah. Yeah, let's not go down that, right? By the way, NBA 2K or 2K, I should say, they said, no, we're not going to do that after all.
Yeah, they walked it back. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so it's like, that's your showcase game. Listen, say what you want about Halo Infinite and Craig. I love Craig, by the way. Craig's my boy.
Craig, if you don't know, is how people are referring to that one alien with the close up, and it's not great. It's kind of like this meme for the graphics in the game in general. But
yeah, but the thing, say what you want about Halo Infinite, at least that's a full new game. Spider-Man Miles Morales is a DLC game that's probably 10 hours long. It's an add-on to an old game. So I'm like, if that's what you have, I don't know, man. And again, even though I probably will just because of my job or whatever, if I was just a regular consumer, I'd be like, why should I get this system on launch date?
I feel like no one should buy consoles at launch, ever, maybe. But
yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. And this goes for Xbox as well, especially with Xbox. Halo Infinite, play that on your regular Xbox One. You can even play it on Project X Cloud. That's going to be launching September 15th. But with Sony, I'm like, why am I buying? Think about this: most of these games that are going to be on PS5 are going to be on your PS4 anyway.
Yeah, or your PC too.
Or your PC.
Bug Snacks. Talking about them.
Yeah. By the way, what do you think about that game? Is weird, dude.
So I know the people that make that game. They're the Octodad guys, and they're Chicago-based. So I would hang out with them back when I was, living in Chicago and writing about games there. So I kind of a personal connection to them.
Okay.
I just want to see them do well because I just like those guys.
Yeah. I'm noticing that game. People talk about it a lot, and but I'm not talking about it in a bad way either. Like, they seem to be really interested. I guess they want something quirky or whatever.
Yeah.
I played Octodad. Octodad was cool, but it was a little too weird for me. But yeah, with PlayStation, I know it's too late. Because here's the thing with Sony, let's just be honest. A lot of their stuff gets leaked, right? We haven't seen anything big or because people are saying, oh, they're going to have something huge for launch. I'm like, we would have seen it already, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, we would have seen
it. There's not going to be some hidden megaton coming out in November that we don't know about.
Yeah. Nah, no way. I know some people are saying oh, Horizon is coming. It's like, no, it's being developed, but it ain't coming on launch day,
No.
And then obviously because of the whole COVID situation, we didn't get, because the reveal was supposed to be around June, E3 time basically, so that got pushed back. But now the main question is, I guess it's a good way to kind of end this thing, because we just transitioned to a general next gen conversation now.
Yeah.
Like, I believe that this is the month, right? August, when we're going to get the price reveals for both systems, because they've both been, Microsoft and Sony have been playing chicken this entire time. Who's going to reveal the price first, right? But I still maintain, I've said this on Twitter many times, I do not think either console is going to be over $500 with this economy as it is right now. No way. That would be ridiculous. And I also believe that's also part of the reason why they're going to have their cheaper disc versions, just to offset that in case you maybe lost your job, but you still want a PlayStation or an Xbox, you buy a cheaper one. But I think we're going to get that this month. What do you think? What about the price?
Yeah, that's gotta. I would hope that 500 is the limit. I could see the more expensive PS5 maybe being like 550, but I don't know. But I don't know. This whole situation's got everything. It's just throwing everything off.
Yeah, you have to see. But yeah, my last.
I do think that I do think that the cheaper Xbox will be like significantly cheaper than like I think the gulf between the Series X and let's call it the Series S will be like a bigger gulf in price than a disk drive or not in the PS5. But,
yeah, but that's interesting. But it's like, what about the Xbox One X? That's being discontinued, isn't it?
Yeah, they're done with all that. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, you might be right about that. But yeah, my final word on this is like, if you're just a regular consumer, wait to see what these consoles have at launch, because right now neither is looking like you must have them on launch day. Great
advice just in general when it comes to technology. It's this holiday, they're both coming out, but maybe wait and see, maybe read some reviews on PCMag.com
That's right.
when they're out. Tony, thanks so much for coming here to talk PlayStation with us.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun, guys. Later.
Peace.